for a moment that you are pulled into the court of law as an expert witness. They're going to be looking at 4 specific things about whether or not you're credible. So what are these core things? Well, first they're going to want to ask about your integrity. Are you an honest person? Are you doing it for the best reason? Or you have a track record of lying? Or you usually tell the truth? Second of all, they're going to be looking at your intent. Are you doing it for what's best of the court, or do you have a hidden motive, a hidden agenda? The third thing you're going to be looking for is if you're an expert. Because as we said before, in my last video I talked about how even though I have a trust value between my girlfriend and I, it doesn't mean that I'll be operating on it. I can't perform surgery or something like that because I'm not an expert at that. So they're going to be looking at that, and they're also going to be looking at your track record. They're going to be looking at overall whether or not you've had results. You've already done something, and you can back it up with something. Credibility is a very interesting thing, and I've said this over and over again. I'll say it again. It has to start from within and go outside. Personal example, I would work really late hours, and I would go to bed at a pretty ridiculous late time, and then I would tell myself I'd get up and get a bright early start, maybe start off the day with exercise, things like that. And then eventually got into the habit where the alarm would go off at about 5 o'clock, 5:30 a.m., and I just ended up hitting snooze. And then it finally got to the point where I didn't even wake up for the alarm anymore because it became a joke. That's very crippling on your self-credibility, because when you set out to make a goal and you don't follow through with it, that's just you proving to yourself that you're not going to follow through with something. I've had this problem over and over again in my life, but that was also one of the reasons of making these videos too, to stay consistent with something. Rationality is one of the amazing things that we tend to do. We always rationalize ourselves about why we should or shouldn't do. We let it cross-mingle with our values. Do you have a set list of values, or don't you? I mean, are you going to have things that you're going to follow through on a daily basis, or are you going to waver between it? You know what I mean? That's all about integrity and about being a good person. I'm going to go build a picture real quick of a tree, and I'm not promising that this tree is going to look good or even that it's going to make any bit of sense, but let's go with it. So, with the tree we got some roots down here. So what is this? This is your foundation. This is your integrity. I'm not going to spell it all out because that will take extra time. So down here you have your integrity below the ground. There we go. There we go. Just like everything else, this is your foundation. You have to be a good character to be able to get any results, and that's the magic thing. After this, like we were talking about, you have the trunk of the tree, which is your intention. Now, a little bit about intention, as I said before. You can act and do and say all the things in the world. You can promise and you can even follow through with what you've said, but your intention is a whole other thing. Are you saying things to people because you genuinely mean them? You're being sincere. Or are you doing it because you have a hidden agenda, because you want something from that person? It's a beautiful thing to be able to compliment them on their apparel or because they have an amazing characteristic that you enjoy, but to say it just to get a response out of them, even if it's just so you feel good inside, it's very manipulative inside of yourself and others. You have a good intention. You want to follow through with exactly what you're saying that you're doing it for. Building a nice strong trunk of the tree, and then every tree is not complete without branches. What are these branches? This is your level of competence. Over and over again, we could be only partially trustworthy by our character alone, but we must also have some kind of competence to be able to extend from that. You have to not only be trustworthy, but you also have to know what you're doing. And this is something that unfortunately a lot of people are going to look at in a lot of regards and not give you a lot of credibility. But if you're doing something, hopefully you're credible at it. We'll just put a little bit of a thing, so it kind of looks like a tree right there. And let's say this is an apple tree. We'll put a little apple right there. So, what is this? This is your results. After you have this whole tree, you eventually finally get the fruit, which is your results. When it comes to credibility, you have to get to the point where you demonstrate the fruit of the tree in whole. Everything about the tree plus the fruit. And that's your results. Everyone starts from a particular point. Everyone, you start at point one and you finally you move on. But people like to see results. Bradley and I have been approaching a lot of companies lately because I said we got in a whole new endeavor. We started a new company. And one of these things that people are going to want to see is if we're credible in this last regard is what kind of results have we gotten? Have we made people happy? If we delivered a product that's worth it? And you start after everything, or you start at one point and then you move forward from there. But this is going to seriously be something people are going to look for. So if you want to be a credible source, reflect on yourself and ask, are you living with integrity? Do you have the right intentions? And don't fool yourself, because we all, I don't say we all, but we all can fall into this problem where we think we're doing it as a noble act, but we're full of shit and we're trying to do it for some other reasons. And then you have to be competent as well as showing the fruits of your work to other people. So this is just a little bit of food for thought. Hopefully that tree makes a little bit of sense. If not, I had fun drawing it, so that's still just as good. So hey, you guys take care. I'll see you another day. Probably